Yo, 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 what's going on? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street. Hey, howdy doody, 9 o'clock, Tootin' Thursday. Hopefully, y'all having a good day. Let's dig into what the heck is happening in the markets because I thought today was an important day and a little bit of a gangbuster day because, we had the CPI out yesterday and it was fairly muted, the reaction, but there was a lot of stocks going. And then today we had the PPI out, and there was really not much action. Let me put the pre-market data on. I don't like pre-market data. I don't know about you guys, but it messes up my charts a lot. There was not really much like kind of hoopla, right? Like the PPI came out, was probably pretty much to be expected, and then but like first candle of the market, like the market just took off, right? And that's what you really want to see, right? That's like your quintessential sign of like, all right, people want in. And then, we had a nice dip and a pop and a dip and pop. And that's, to me, that's the ideal day. It's not like just like a gap and then grind and like, and you're just farting around. It's like you get a big shred at the open because that's when you're going to pile into most of your names, anyways. And then you get, right, like a big pullback that kind of like suckers in some shorts. Maybe you retest into some support, right? And then you hold above some supports and then, right, you rip it back and you kind of like you're playing the waves, and that's day trading. So I thought today was an awesome day trading environment and also a great environment for swing trades. I'm slowly adding a handful of things to the book on the swing side. For me, if I'm swing trading, like, first of all, you can only day trade with so much money, right? So you got to swing trade at some point. But like, like I'm not really like anything when I'm under the 50-day moving average, I'm typically not swing trading unless you get like it's like a very oversold reading via market breadth and a handful of other things. But now that we're over the 50 and starting to break out, like, right, you kind of slowly build back up the book a little bit for some overnighters. But the day trading action was fantastic. And there's not really much else to say. The Qs looks like it's going to test those highs. The SPY came out of its flag today, and the IWM is also doing the same thing, not with as much gusto. But I think, obviously with the rates high and, mortgage, this and that, like maybe we're just not going to get like that big bonanza in the mid cap, small caps. But dude, I mean, there's not much else you can write about. I thought the big story today was SNDK. They had their investors day out today. Yo, they have fucking, sorry for the swearing. They have investors days for all these stocks like every freaking day. Like every day, it's like AMD Investor Day. This one day, this one's at a conference, and nothing ever happened, right? So I had this thing. I saw the alert, like SanDisk Investors Day. Didn't really think anything of it, and then like it started to push, and like pull back, and we're like, and then you get up here, and you're like, okay, like you kind of used up its range for the day, right? Like its range, its ATR is 167 points, so it dipped down and then like kind of popped up here, pulled back, got up here. I'm like, okay, so it's done. Like, kind of used up the ATR for the most part. And then it was like, it just like dipped for a hot second. And it was like, whoop, mega penis candle out of nowhere. Well, I guess it wasn't nowhere, right? And I don't trade SNDK, but I like this snooks. And dude, look at this good old fashioned God fearing Christian range on this thing. Like, this thing was at 1084. Dude, you get up to 15. Hell yeah. Right? Like, that's range, right? Like, why would you trade? Why would you trade SNDK? You could trade this. And SNDK, you can't even trade options on it. Not really, because they're thin and they're spreads and they're expensive. So you always want to do Snooky. So I thought that was the real story of the day. And then, with that, like MU took off and it took out this range break here. And I think we took this in the chat room, 937, 80, something along that end. And I did the 940 calls and the 950 calls along with it. And this did okay, but it wasn't like Snorkies. I mean, Snorkies is like, that's a man's move right there, right? Like, I mean, it was okay, but Snorkies, 172 million shares. Let's see what else is in tune for this. I thought that was the main story of today was, the SNDK just propelling some of this stuff. The rest of the semiconductor market was blah. Like, you had hold on here. You had a little bit of a pop, and then you just completely rolled over. So there was a little blase going on that. And once again, I didn't see what the news was. I'm not usually at the computer this time of day. But then beyond that, like all the software stocks really went ham into the close. I mean, like they just went, they just went bajonkers. Look at this thing. You're just sitting here minding your own business. Dude, imagine you own this thing. Like, dude, I never get these kind of gifts, right? Like, imagine just sitting there with your hands down your pants and El Bundy style, and you're like, I hope nobody on the stream notices what I'm doing, right? And then it's like, whoop. Like, oh, fuck. That's amazing. That shit never happens to me. Just the opposite, right? But like, look at you can see this Clairvo. Dude, every single so the IGV. So I didn't see what the news was. I probably should look that up. That's some shit right there. So I think that leads into a lot more setups too, right? Like we have a handful of kind of these techie names, a lot of good earnings names. I would say the earnings plays has really been that's where the real focus is. There's been just really good reactions to earnings, whether it's day one, day two, and it's not just NBIS, right? Amazon had a 2-day run, and right, and so on and so forth. Like a lot of these names have just been kind of cooking and booking. So let's dig into the watch list. I would just say tomorrow's 0DT Friday. It's a fun day. Let's go have some fun. XE had its earnings out today. To me, this looks like a bottoming pattern on an old IP from May. You got a level here. This is probably the look. Little kind of looks like SpaceX a little bit. It's got more than enough liquidity for the most part. I'm into this one. That's top of the list. Hey, there's Bullish, which is like, I believe, more of a crypto name. Had a little bit expanding volume too. I believe this earnings are now out of the way too. And wow, like you're breaking over the 50, the 9, the 20. You coming out of a range break. You had a little bit of expansion in the volume. The only thing I would say is this is a Peter Thiel stock, and dude, I'm more of a Scott Besson guy. If you're ranking like hardcore gay men, right, like the hardest, toughest gay men, I would say Scott Besson smokes Peter Thiel, right? Like Scott Besson's like a hard gay man. Like you can't fuck with him. Like Peter Thiel's more like, like he's just like doing vampire stuff. It's just weird, right? Like he's not hardcore, right? He's not a part of the movement, So like if I'm in prison, I'm going Scott Besson all the time, all the way, right? Scott Besson will protect you, right? Peter Thiel, he'll suck your blood. But this is one of his stocks. I don't know, man. I think this is a spot right here. KYVO, bros. That's a good look right there too, right? Fig, not as clean. Look, this one's like a little bit like you had a few. It's like in the 90s when you have a few beers, you got to like tilt your head a little bit to get home before they had Uber. This is kind of one of those where you got like this little nub here and you're tilting your head a little bit, but it looks pretty good. Hey, ACHR, you can't ignore this, man. It's had numerous opportunities to kind of fade it off, and it ain't. And you're right at the sweet spot. The liquidity's huge. Looks great. Froggy looks like he wants to break out too. Thin little bastard, but whatever. Tis the season. Tis the season. Tis the season. I was about to say something, but I held myself back. It's my wife. Look at this car. You got this thing looking pretty good here. Buy now, pay later. Why not? Right? IPO stock, taking out some ranges. Bam, bam, bam. Hey, Netflix. I was talking about this with my group in the morning today, and it was like, they're like, well, you put the watch list on, this particular day. And it's like, yeah, just get on the watch list is the main thing. But like a lot of times they do kind of like prairie-dog a little bit. And then they like kind of just dump off and you forget about it. And then they kind of rip back. And that's been happening a lot. So keep that on the watch list. Koro is a kind of a daily trader for me. Liquid is Korea. Konnichiwa. Ni hao ma. Right? Like, dude, Korea. I'm all about it, man. Give me the 3X ETFs, the pachinko parlors, all of it. Like, dude, come on. Remounting the 200. Hey, PLTR, I wouldn't say this is like a grade A setup right here, but these kind of like the high beta names on Fridays, they like rip oftentimes. The 0DT action and all of that. So like I would call this like a B- setup on the daily chart. But because it's like one of these stocks that does a lot of options volumes, it actually turns into like, I would say like a B plus. So add that in too. DRAM round into Intel, same thing. Yo, and this OKLO's tighter than a goose's caboose right here. Ooh, that's tight, right? Oh man, that's kind of gross. I take that back. Boom, 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 bam. Damn, fuck that thing. Hey, this is more on the swing trade side. Let's see if this thing kind of marinates here. It needs more days for the EMAs to catch up, but you starting to see like pet the snake right there.